are ready to welcome to our next panel.
Yes, for our next panel, I'd like to call on stage Thais Queiroz. Thais is a former youth rep from the World Scouting and being the next generation fellow for education. And it's a huge pleasure to find you back here, Thais. Welcome here on the stage of the first Education Scout.
Thank you very much, Pierre. It's a pleasure. Thank you, Flo. Hi, everyone. It's very nice to be here today. I am very excited for the fresh day, despite the late night yesterday that I think some of you had. So yes, as he said, my name is Thais Queiroz. I've been a youth representative for the past 3 years, and I've also been a scout my entire life. So it's a great honor for me to have this panel here today, where I will see some of the approaches that we have in scouting with some of our practitioners. So without further ado, let me call to the stage, first, please, Chiara Servilli. She is a technical officer for child and adolescent mental and brain health at the World Health Organization. Welcome, Chiara. Secondly, we have Dominique Bernard, who is the chair of l'Association pour la promotion des approches coopératives, which looks into the cooperative approaches to this discussion, providing insights like how we can collaborate. Welcome, Dominic. Our third panelist is Monica Figueroa, who is an international commissioner for the Colombian National Scout Organization and has been deeply involved in scouting national and international level. So welcome, Monica. And finally, Al Hassan Sultan, who is a youth advisor for the World Scout Committee and was project director at the Kandersteg International Scout Center. Welcome, Hassan. So I would like to remind you that each of you have 2 minutes to answer each question, because we do want to hear from all of you, but we also have lots of breakout sessions where we want to hear from all of you. So we need to keep on time. So let's start with Chiara. So you bring like this unique perspective from the World Health Organization, bringing us like about mental health. So what do you believe is of greatest concern for scouting and non-formal education? And what makes you think this?
Thanks. Thanks very much for this opportunity. I'm here because I really believe there is potential for scouting to really play a role in terms of addressing the mental health needs of children and young people. You know, we know that 1 in 7 adolescents and 1 in 10 children experience a mental health condition severe enough to be recognized. And the majority of these children are not either requesting or receiving appropriate support and care. The suicide is the 4th leading cause of death among young people, older adolescents, globally. And this is a concern. Over the past 2 decades, there has been an increase in the capacity and empowerment of young people to really voice their concerns and their demands for a transformation of both the environments where they live, for them to be more protective of their mental health, as well as for having better access to quality mental health care psychosocial support. We have strong evidence of the role of not only schools, but also non-formal education setting for them to play a role in promoting, enabling, nurturing environments for young people's mental health. But beyond that, to also play a role in strengthening the support and the access to mental health care and psychosocial support for children and young people. It may seem to be too big of a challenge, but I know that you will take this challenge and advance your role to better meet the new challenge and the new requirements and new demands of young people's mental health. Going beyond promoting a safe environment, you know, with the vision of really building and nurturing, promoting environment for young people and helping them, you know, address the stigma around mental health condition and have better access to those trained, competent persons that could be peer educators, you know, non-specialist educators with the right set of listening, communication, and psychosocial advice skills for them to play the big role of being present in their lives and being there when they need, mostly, you know, to have somebody there to provide psychosocial support and care. So we stop here, I think, within the 2 minutes. But yeah, I'll have more opportunity to elaborate on the specific approaches.
Very much, Chiara. That's very, very relevant for us to gain this perspective. And then I will directly shift the question for Dominic. What do you think is one of the trends that we are facing that poses a threat to Scouting? Why do you think that? And what is a trend that can actually give us an opportunity in Scouting? Dominic? Oh, sorry.
For me, there are two important things in non-formal education. First is a learning community, and secondly, it is cooperation. Each Scout group should be a learning community. That means that young people and adults have to make learning experience together instead of imposing to children an instruction from outside. We have to help them to find attractive experience, firstly in nature, and secondly in the community, to acquire new competencies through helping each other. I mean, cooperation is very necessary to help children to help each other to learn. We cannot learn alone. We need the help of the others to learn new things. And this dynamic is quite important to help children to acquire the capacity to learn by themselves, the capacity to acquire system thinking, and to acquire also the capacity to critical thinking, the capacity of critical thinking. That is essential in Scouting, and it is quite important that the Scout leaders offer to young people opportunities of new discoveries and of new learning in their environment.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Dominic. And I think this, like, the critical thinking, this cooperation, the learning communities, it's something that you, Monica, experience in our international and national activities that you pursue. So how do you see non-formal education defining the pathway in this contemporary world that we are living?
Okay, thank you so much for having me here. And that's a deep question. And I think if we want to change the future, we need to build the skills and the right competencies in order for young people to change and create the future we want. I'm so agree with that you were talking about mental health and you about the right competencies and everything, because that's the key point, how we can teach young people these right skills in order to face the different complexities of the current world. The world we live today is the most interconnected world that we see, and also we have a lot of technology, a lot of resources. We have ChatGPT and the fourth industrial revolution. So those are amazing tools in order to create better societies, but at the same time, the problem is not the technology, the problem is which skills and competencies we provide to young people to face and use technology in the best way possible in order to create a better world. So I believe that not formal education give us the pathway in order to teach those skills. And at the same time, I experienced this in the Inter-American Leadership Training. It's okay. In the Inter-American Leadership Training, which is a building capacity platform for young people in the Inter-American region. And it's a leadership course where we build the skills for young people to face the complexities of the Inter-American region and create projects in the community. So we are not focusing on giving young people the right answer. Oh no, I was just checking the time.
Keeping track.
So, but I just want to say that We are not providing the right answers, but we are providing the skills for them to find the answer or to find the solution to the current problems by themselves. Because sometimes we see a solution in a global stage, but sometimes it's not adaptable to the communities. So we are trying to provide these leadership skills for them to find the right solutions according with the reality of their communities. So I see that non-formal education, it's the key of all our efforts.
I couldn't agree more. Thank you, Monica. And Hassan, as a youth advisor, as an elected youth advisor to the World Scout Committee, we are very interested in your youth perspective. So what would you say is the greatest advantage of our educational offer?
Yeah, thank you, Thais. I think with education in Scouting, we've been working this from the beginning more than 100 years. And if we look to the past, we've been working all the topics, all the causes, all the issues and the challenges. But there's something that we need to acknowledge. We are not the experts in this. But our advantage is the space that we give to the experts, where we put the experts and our educators, the other leaders, and also the young people to get together and get to learn together. So yes, it's not an advantage that we're not the experts in these topics, but I think we are the experts in non-formal education. We have our secret recipe, which is the Scout method. And this is the beauty of it, that we use the Scout method in our daily life with the Scouts in these topics. But also, if we look to the Scout movement, there is a nice part of it, the adaptability of the movement, because the Scout movement itself keeps adapting to the current needs. And if we look to the previous 2 World Scout conferences in 2017 in Azerbaijan, we had the new element, which was community involvement. So I think the 2 things that we can summarize about the advantage of our education offering is actually the space that we provide to young people to bring those experts and the educators to bring this knowledge and skills and attitude, as Monica said, about giving them the skills to be able to challenge the community in these issues, but also how adaptable our movement is to address the current needs.
Thank you very much, Hassan. And yes, when you talk about the new element, the community involvement, I like how we, as a movement, we keep evolving and keep changing things. And then as an organization, we try to keep track of it so everyone can be on the same page. And then we need to just add words to the things that we are already doing, right? Thank you very much for this perspective. And I think I will continue a little bit on this community base and turn the question to Chiara. Before you talked about this nurturing environment for our young people, for our children. So what would you say is an opportunity to, with what we have, that we can build this resilience and enhance well-being and mental health within youth-led organizations, not only Scouting?
Thanks for the opportunity to talk more about the potential really for Scouting and Scouts groups to play a role in mental health. I have briefly read the draft strategies you're working on, and I see, a lot there in terms of promoting a safe environment. And, I'm sure you know that there would be, a space for policies related to anti-bullying, a lot of, concepts around diversity and inclusion. What I would like then, to talk about here and to pose attention to is other aspects of the potential of non-formal education. And I would like to highlight 4 potential other roles that non-formal education could play in relation to promoting and protecting mental health. The first one is about building individual capital. We know that this is a key component of what, adolescents need for their mental health and thriving. And there is strong evidence from WHO around the potential for formal and non-formal education setting to deliver social and emotional learning for every adolescent, every young person. And there is play-based type of approaches that could serve this purpose. So this is something that could be easily integrated into the approach, social and emotional learning. The second aspect is parenting. This may not be applicable to all Scouts groups, depending on the different approaches, but some will find an opportunity also to influence parents, because parents remain important across the first 2 decades of life and even beyond for young people's mental health. If you have an opportunity to influence parenting and you need the competencies as educator to be able to do it, then you will have a long-lasting impact on the mental health of that young person. The Third approach is about facilitating access to social resources, as well as facilitating access to interventions. So in the interest of time, I will focus on early access to intervention in terms of psychosocial support. We know that stigma is a key barrier for adolescents and children to request and to seek for help when they need, when they face depression, when they face substance use, when they face, big problem behaviors. The majority of kids and adolescents will seek help for mental health issues first of all, and then in majority of cases, in an education environment, not in health services, education environment. So you are there with these children and young people, and you can really ensure that you play a role in addressing this care gap, treatment gap. There is now very strong evidence and experience from all over the world, from India to Sri Lanka, to the African region, to the Latin American countries, about brief approaches that can be, in terms of psychosocial support approaches, that can be delivered by non-specialists. And by non-specialists, I include also specifically educators and even peer-led type of youth, peer-led type of approaches that can really become the first opportunity for young persons to be supported in their trajectory to recovery for mental health problems. Plenty of examples, evidence out there. I think this is an untapped potential for the Scouts group to play a bigger role in terms of promoting and protecting mental health.
Thank you very much, Chiara. And I'm really touched when you say about how they seek for this like counseling, or I don't know, like for help within our educational environments. Like I know that I have this with my own scouts that I'm a leader now in Germany, like how we manage to talk with them with topics that they not necessarily feel comfortable with other ones, because it's just peers, it's just people from the same age. So indeed, thank you very much for bringing this perspective. And yes, also for you, Dominic, as we know that you have a vast experience in scouting, being the author of books, of the GPS, the Global Youth Program, in scouting tool that we use, and you have a very, very vast perspective, and I admire your work very much. So I wanted to ask you about like this just and equitable world that we speak about. What does this mean for scouting? How do we make it like in our educational offering in scouting?
Yeah. There is something in the history of scouting that strikes me, that if you compare what Baden-Powell wrote in Scouting for Boys in 1907, and what he wrote in Aid to Scoutmastership in 1989, that means just after the First World War, there is a big difference. Scouting for Boys is just a program of learning, a program of activities in the woods, in camping, where young people learn how to express themselves, but also how to be disciplined, how to be good citizens. And after the First World War, Baden-Powell discovered that that is not enough. For example, it was important that young people in their group have a say, can take part in decision-making through the patrol system, that also scouting should be an international movement, brotherhood, movement building peace in the world. And I think that we are in some way in a similar period. Today in the world, there are a lot of violence. For example, I am living in Europe. It is the first time in Europe from 75 years that war, a big war, exists again. and scouting has a role to play in that. We forget very often that scouting is not only an educational method, it is also a world brotherhood. And it is important that the movement act every day to change the mentality of people in that world and to increase their capability to understand each other, to cooperate together in order to change the world. And it is quite important that in every local groups, this feeling to belong to a world brotherhood open to all, where you can understand, acquire a better understanding of all the culture, of all the spiritualities, is understood by every leader. That is quite important today. And scouting has strong links with, for example, the United Nations family, with the UNICEF, with UNESCO. It's quite important to continue this work and to help every young people to discover that he is a citizen of the world.
Thank you very much. And I think that's so important when you talk about this cooperation with everyone discovering that they can be a citizen of the world, because no one here needs to be convinced that scouting is great, that we have a great method, that we're really passionate about it, but that every young person has the opportunity of accessing this community, of accessing this patrol system, these opportunities. So thank you very much for bringing this perspective. And Monica, what would you say are the biggest shortcomings for our educational offer?
Okay. For that question, I don't have like an answer. I have more questions because it's something that I've been, thinking and developing a lot. But I can say that all of us, we see that the world is changing so fast. And professionally, I'm a humanitarian worker. I provide legal services to migrants and refugees in Colombia because we faced some humanitarian crises. The first one is the conflict, and the second now is migration. And for me, working in that context has been really hard because the solution that you have one day probably is not going to work tomorrow because the context is changing. So I see non-formal education or our offer can provide, again, the skills and the competencies for young people to understand these difficult scenarios and provide, provide the view of not seeing something as a challenge, but also the view of something is an opportunity. And also, okay, the two challenges that I see is the first one, how we can adapt our program to these complexities, how we can provide these skills for young people to face difficult situations. But at the same time, the other challenge is like the thing that you were mentioning, like before in World War II, we have a big challenge, and humanity always learns from really bad experiences, right? The wars, the crises, and also, for example, the recent one, the pandemic. And now I see in the future, one of the biggest crises for all humanity is climate change. But at the same time, I feel like we don't need to face destruction in order to learn something. So our biggest challenge now would be how we can prevent things, how we can teach people how we can take care of the world, how we can take care of each other without facing a war or a massive destruction, That's, my question now, like how our educational offer can do this for humanity and for our communities. So I think that's a bit deep, and sometimes I've been thinking a lot because that would be a good challenge for scouting as well.
Thank you very much, Monica. When you say that we learn from bad things, I sometimes wish we learned more. It's for sure very challenging what you're bringing us, and I will actually ask you then, Hassan. What is the trend that you think we need to understand better so we can have like the impact that is needed in scouting in our educational method?
Yeah, I think my answer would fit perfectly with Monica because she's talking about the crisis and response. I think for the past years we saw a lot of crises and issues and conflicts. Personally, I think we've been focusing so much on how we respond, and this is something we've been doing for a long time. I think connecting to what Monica said is the preparedness part, because this is something we haven't touched that much on, and I think this is a theme we need to focus on that much. Looking to COVID, looking to the previous conflicts and wars, it's really horrible to see that we try to survive from one to another, to respond from another and go to another one, but we're really lacking the preparedness, and that takes a lot of effort. And we have this long debate in all the NSOs and the Scout movement, are we a humanitarian action movement or an educational movement? But I think we're a mix of both, because yes, we work on developing young people, but also we work on developing communities and helping the world to become better. So it's I don't think it's a one way only of doing things in scouting. I think the two sides are serving each other. So I believe that through preparedness and response as well, we can educate young people on how to create a better world in the humanitarian action work as well.
Thank you very much, Hassan. So reflecting on the answers that you were giving, also like these challenges that we are facing in the wars, and how really it's a big challenge. I will have a final question for all of you. It's the same question. And then you have also 2 minutes, each one of you, to answer. And the question is very profound but very simple. Are we fit for purpose? Can you start with you, Hassan?
That's a good question. Actually, I was talking with this with some colleagues yesterday, maybe Maury is somewhere here, about being fit for purpose. We were thinking, and the reflection is more, are we all aligned in the purpose? Because I think our interpretation is really different from one to another, from context to another, and I think it's really important to align our work in the purpose. I think we keep thinking also about our full potential in this purpose, and I think we keep discovering that we can do more. We don't have a limit. Whenever we think we achieve the full potential, we find another thing that increase our capacity. But I think we need to, what is really important at the moment, regardless if we're fit for purpose or not, depends on your definition, that we unite the message on our purpose as a movement. And going closer to the conference next year, I think is a great opportunity, because we have the new strategy for scouting, and this will reunite again, I think, our messaging on the purpose, where we can focus on it. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I was just reminded of the time, so we have 1 minute to answer the question. Monica, are we fit for purpose?
Yes, of course. I mean, scouting provides the opportunity to develop the full potential of young people, and I see from my experience that 10 years ago I attended the Inter-American Leadership Training, and it was a great opportunity to discover, you know, the unity in scouting, but also to discover that I have potential and to believe in myself. So that was possible because, you know, because of scouting. And I believe now that in my role, in my current role as international commissioner, now I have this sense of giving back, like providing and open spaces for young people, providing more opportunities for young people to develop themselves in different contexts. So now I see my passion in the scouting and my love in the scouting, but also my purpose here is to build those skills for the next generation of leaders. So I see my job and my role as something really purposeful, and that's what, and that is because of scouting. Because scouting, you know, inspires me in different ways to, you know, provide those opportunities. And I think together with this intergenerational alliance, we can build a better world in the future.
very much. Dominic.
Yes, I think for me, all my life, what I've learned in scouting is firstly the possibility to cooperate with others and to change things around ourselves thanks to this cooperation. I think that we discussed in our group yesterday the meaning of competencies. A competency is the capacity to bring together knowledge, skills, and attitude in order to make a change in the reality. And that is what I've learned in scouting. We can change the reality with the help of the other around ourselves in the community. And that is the real mission of scouting.
Thank you very much. Chiara.
Yes, thanks. I want to share a provocative reflection here. When I was thinking about this meeting, I was trying to estimate the number of people and young people with mental health condition within the Scouts group, taking the 57 million estimates globally, and arrive at an estimate of 1.1 million of children and adolescents with mental health condition that would be part of the Scouts group. But then I realized that possibly this is not the reality. Possibly, the proportion of children and adolescents with mental health condition in Scouts group is much less. Why is that? Because that child with autism or intellectual disability or with anxiety may not have been able to join the Scouts group, may have tried, but then, failed. Or the other adolescents with behavioral problems, substance use, depression, suicidal thoughts, might have dropped out of the Scouts group. So is there anything else that you can do to improve and to retain these young people within the Scouts group and to promote their well-being and mental health, and for you to be really part of their, trajectories towards optimal well-being development and thriving? And lastly, I see the potential for the Scouts group to impact communities locally and globally, within the Scouts group and beyond, within communities. You can reach young people, you can reach families, you can reach communities there. But these require competencies at all levels in Scouts group. There is sound evidence on approaches that could guide this transformation for you to play a more active and proactive role towards mental health of young people. And I see the immense potential in this room for innovation, knowledge, experience, and the energy here to drive this change. I'm part of the World Health Organization. I would be pleased to strengthen our partnership with you to be part of this journey.
Thank you so much. Yes, please. I think we can agree that we all think we are fit for purpose, but yes, we need to do changes if we want to continue fit for purpose. And thank you so much for bringing this perspective. Thank you for introducing us into the new day, and then we can see what are all the approaches that are being done throughout the day, and yes, have great discussions. So they will be here throughout the day. You can also approach them and ask your questions. But for now, thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.